So I've got to weld in my door bar for the front, and I've got this bent piece of metal that's going to weld to the outrigger. I'm going to cut it here so I can get a better angle. And before I cut this and tack it in, I want to make my patch panel that I'm going to use here now. That way I've already got my edges, and I'll just have to make my hole for the pipe. And I'm just going to lay this board. It's thick construction paper. Like you put it down on floors. You get it at a hardware store. And then I take my hammer. Helps if it's a really hard surface. So that'll work. Now I've got my template for after I weld in that bar to make this plate. Now this bar, I want it to angle up instead of having it like this. So I'm going to take and cut this first. Okay, that's what I want. I'm going to take and run this over to the belt sander and get this flat. And it looks like I'm happy with where I have my line here. So I'll go ahead and cut it. I think I can use the chop saw on this one. Well, I just made a big mistake. I cut too much of this out. I needed a straight section for this to fit into. So now I can't fit that in there. Or can I? I don't want to grind this off and not have it work. These were $180 for the kit. Let me phone a friend. So what I'm doing is prepping my tubing. This is going to come off of the back bar to this. This is going to come out of my floor, and then there's going to be a bar that connects to this one, and it'll swing to get in and out if I want to. So I'm going to cope this to go around the rear bar. I've got a bevel here so I can tack it and then fully weld. And this one needs to go in here. And what I need to do is trim this so it'll fit, because I've got this angle, and if you look, the tubing isn't round anymore. It's flat here and round around there. So anyway, I've got to trim this to get it to fit, which I just double checked, and that's fine. You can do that. I'm going to take it next door to the belt sander and see how quick that brings it down. So apparently these go on the bar. So this needs to get tacked to the truck. This needs to get tacked to the truck. And I'm not going to tack this until I have my bar ran in case I need to realign this. So that's ready. This needs to be coked. I want to try something. If it doesn't work, I'll use a new piece. Smart to do this on paper. Whew. That burning paper does not smell good. Maybe it's all the chemicals in this table that I got. Whew. Yeah, that worked great. Whew. Dang it, I burnt my workbench. Should be metal anyway. Full battery. Wrong glasses. No fires. Look at that. Now this will go in the end. This will get welded to the bar. I want to go make sure it sticks out past the door jamb. Well, let's go tack some pieces in. Oh, of course I took my utility knife or scissors. This is pointless. Or is it? Well, One of these days I'm going to learn how to tie knots. Just not today. Sure. So that is going to tell me so I'm center there, I'm center here. Perfect. I'm trying to be mindful of where I'm going to have to weld. So I'm going to have to weld this corner. I also want to make sure that my seat's still going to fit. So I've never made a door bar before. And I've been really overthinking this. And what really works for me is just starting to do what you know will work. So I knew this was going to work because it's just a stub and it hinges off of this. I know that's going to work. The thing I was hesitant about was rounding off the edge that goes in here, but that's legal. You can do that. And my angle, that's figured out. And then once I get this tacked in, I'll just have to figure out my bar. So anyway, if that's helpful, great. And that looks like where I want that. I made a mark on the floor, just showing the direction because I want to make sure this is headed in the right direction. Now I've got to figure out my door bar. And I have an idea. So what I have over here is a bent piece of pipe that's 10 feet long. And I don't want to cut it too short. I don't want to cut it too long. I want to cut it just right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some measurements and lay it out on a piece of paper, the construction paper, and figure it out from there. I'm going to use this line as my floor. 25 1/4. We're just going to say 4 1/4. I need a plumb bob. This isn't a plumb bob, but it's going to work. Where is that? Hate it when I can't find stuff. I mean, I like really hate it. So our distance, we're just going hole to hole. 28 3/4. Double check. Let's go off the top here. Well, now that's different. Why is it different if I go down here? Fine, let's go 29. Make it a little long. So I need a 29-inch piece of board with 21 inches. So here's what I'm thinking. I don't want to mess that piece up and have to go get another one. So I'm going to mark this out on a piece of this paper. First, I'm going to do a straight line. That's my floor pan. We're leaving right on here. Floor pan. Okay. And we know our difference in width is 29 inches. So there's 29 inches. Just going to go off our floor pan line. $25.25. And then 4.25 off of the floor pan. So we've got to go from here to here. Great. Well, how are you going to do that? I'll show you. Yeah, especially if I can get that bar up here. That's center. So I'm going to cut this off here to just see how close I am, because I really don't want to get another piece. So we can angle this, it's totally fine. I just don't know if I want this angled more here. Well, why is that? I can't be that far away. See what I'm thinking? Since I didn't weld this, I could just lower this bar and we'd be golden. And that's why we just tack. Like that. Well, I could make this much better. So I'm going to undo the bottom because I can kick this whole thing over and give me more leg room down here. Just going to take this corner out so it'll lean this direction. That's right, this door opens. trying to not burn the wires because I don't want to do wiring. Look at that, it still works. So I've got this like halfway welded. I'm trying not to heat it up too hot. I'm finding that I'm getting impatient and just going fast. So I'm just going to take a break and we'll drink some water, slow down, and then finish welding this thing out. Yeah, I just want to make sure that I don't warp anything and cause this to not fit the way that it does. I want it to be like this, so it'll rattle really good going down the road. So the door bar is done. That wraps up the roll cage. It needs some paint, some caps, a bunch of little things, but that wraps up the roll cage. And I'm not super excited about having it because it's just in the way, especially this door bar. But if something happens, I'm going to be glad I had it. So, glad it's in. Thanks for hanging in there. I appreciate you watching.